What if noticing what you don't want is just the first step in noticing what you do want? We want all of you to acknowledge that in contrast there is value, and that even in contrast there is still control of focus, and that what step 5 is about that. So step 1 is variety or contrast helps you to identify what is wanted. Whether you are really aware that you're doing it or not, you are. In other words, even a one-celled organism is discovering preferences. Everything, the cells of your body are discovering preferences. And so even though the cells of your body aren't writing books, the cells of your body are having experiences and are coming to decisions and are putting something in their vortex, and source is answering it. And the physical evolution of all species is about exactly that. So knowing what you don't want is an important part of that equation, essential part of that equation. Then step 2 is source becomes a vibrational equivalent of that and holds steady the vibration of it, which gives the consciousness, even if it is a cell of a body or an organism, gives that consciousness opportunity to come into alignment with its expanded version of itself. You are following? And when that happens, evolution or expansion occurs. When that happens, the vibrational reality turns to a physical reality. So that's all part of that process. So step 1, step 2. Step 3 is, we just talked about it, but with the beasts of your planet or the cells in your body or the consciousness that you deem less sophisticated than your own, those consciousnesses easily accomplish step 3 because they're not so focused, which is what you're worried about, on the step 1 part of it. In other words, they're not judging step 1, they're just experiencing it. They're not judging contrast, they're just experiencing it. They are already in step 5. They know that contrast is what causes expansion, and so they're not so self-loathing or self-unworthy. They're not trying to analyze, they're not comparing their little cellular self to all of the other cellular selves in your physical body or else otherwise, you see. And so they accomplish step 3 easily. For you, you have to relearn what it is. So step 3 then is accomplished. That's what we call the allowing mode or the receptive mode. It's where you recognize that the way you feel is your indication of whether you're allowing what you've evolved to or not, whether you are closing the gap or whether you are expanding the gap. In other words, you can feel the tension in your body or the relief in your body. You can feel whether you are getting up to speed or not getting up to speed with the more expanded version of yourself. That's step 3. Step 4 is understanding how easy it is to do that, and this is the important part of step 4, caring so much about the way you feel that you are deliberately and consciously closing that gap. So once the problem is known by you, you close the gap, moving toward the solution. You don't stand in this defensive place where the problem of your life is so out of sync with what you really want that you now must defend why you're not over here. We want you to have heard that, because that is the reason that so many people do not accomplish step 4. They stand in a defensiveness because they haven't received the whole manifestation. The thoughts haven't turned to the things that they want. So they stand only aware of the things that have already become, wanted and unwanted, and then they cast judgment on themselves about not being over here. That's not being good at step 4. Being good at step 4 is realizing that step 1 occurred and it was good, and step 2 happened and it is wonderful, and step 3 happens pretty frequently and you're getting better and better at it, and step 4 is a sure thing because you care about the way you feel, because you understand how the laws of the universe work, because you want to close this gap, and because you've learned how to focus, and you know that just because you noticed a problem, or let's put it more clearly, received guidance toward a problem, doesn't mean that you can't use that same ability to receive guidance toward the solution. It's a lovely thing to understand that. That's step 4. Step 5 is not being mad at yourself ever again because you're in step 1. Step 5 is understanding the value and the importance of all of it, you see. You can't know what you do want until you know what you don't want. So let's talk about step 5. The mechanism of step 5 is focus and awareness of how I'm feeling, and a desire to feel good. Well, we want to say to you that you get to experience something that all humans really like, because there is nothing you like more than finding a problem and solving it, because there is nothing that you like more than expansion. You are wired for eternalness. You are wired for infinity. You are wired for forever. You are wired for never-endedness. And so this is how it will always be for you. Contrast will cause you to ask for something beyond what you are currently experiencing. And this will not feel normal to you because it was born out of contrast, and it was a fleeting reception of an idea born from your contrast that the source within you recognized and you received. So now it's born, it's foreign to you, but you care about the way you feel. So you think about it and you look forward to it, and you don't beat the drum of its opposite. And then you close that gap, and it feels gooder, better, delicious as you close it. Feels good to close that gap. And now you stand in a new experience, because now that gap's closed, that thought has turned to a thing. So now you are experiencing the solution. You're experiencing the invention. You're experiencing the harmony. You're experiencing a sort of conclusion. You're experiencing the manifestation, the physical reality, actualization, manifestation. And now, at the same time that you get that, you get a whole new set of contrasting experiences, that you know what you don't want and you know what you do want. And then the process begins again. Feels freakishly foreign at first, but you know how to close the gap. You know how to feel yourself into that happiness. You know how to feel yourself into that clarity. So you do it again, and the manifestation happens, and you revel in the manifestation. And in the accomplishment of that new manifestation, you also now get a whole new set of contrasting experiences that gives birth to another rocket of desire. And so what we want to convey to all of you is the sweetness of life is in the moving toward the satisfaction of something that was at first a problem or a contrasting experience. And step 5 is understanding the eternal inevitability of your ability to see improvement. That's what makes us expanding, evolving, eternal consciousness, you see. It's just so natural to us. And the one thing that you might want to do that would give you such a jump start on living more happily ever after is if you could just take away from this moment in time this statement that you, without exception, are ready for right here and now. I will never again defend where I am as if where I am is wrong. And when that defensiveness is gone from you, when you stand in that place of knowing the rightness of that step 1 moment, then there will be such a free flowing, such an ease in closing the gap,